This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
"8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Mario Vijayawardena. The headlines. Sri Lanka has expressed its willingness to work with the UNDP and continue its cooperation. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says the Odyssey weekly railway services will be increased from this week. The Battalegoda Paddy Research Centre has introduced 4 new paddy seeds which suit organic fertiliser cultivation. The Sapugaskanda refinery to resume operations next week. Power cuts of 1 hour and 20 minutes for the next 2 days. The ministry to decide on changes to the weekly fuel quota. Human-elephant conflict kills over 1,100 wild elephants in 3 years. In news overseas, Salman off ventilator and able to talk. In sports news, experiments and role clarity bring new answers to India's T20 questions. The Minister of Mass Media, Transport and Highways, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, says the Odyssey weekly railway services will be increased from this week. Earlier, this was operated during the weekends only. This service was used very often by local and foreign tourists. The increase in frequencies will attract more foreign tourists. The minister made these remarks while joining the first journey. The seats could be registered via online means. The Battalegoda Paddy Research Centre has introduced 4 new paddy seeds which suit organic fertiliser cultivation. The centre plans to introduce these seeds during the upcoming Maha season. The Ministry of Agriculture says it will distribute these seed varieties to all the farmers through agrarian services centres. The director of the research centre, Jayantha Senanayaka, says the new seed varieties will produce more output of paddy. The seeds were designed using modern technology. The fuel quota issued under the National Fuel Pass System or the QR system is scheduled to be updated from midnight today, the 14th. The Ministry of Power and Energy states that after analysing the data from the past week, the necessary changes made in the fuel quota for the next week will be announced today. Fuel was issued for vehicles under the fuel quota and according to the QR system with effect from the first day of this month. With the implementation of the system, the long queues at fuel stations have ended. Meanwhile, it is reported that the Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, has given instructions to take necessary legal and administrative decisions regarding filling stations that dispense fuel outside of the QR system. The minister has instructed the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation CPC to check the quantity of fuel distributed to all the fuel stations and the data on fuel release using the QR system and take necessary legal action against the fuel stations that have released fuel outside of the relevant system. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
The Sapugaskanda oil refinery is scheduled to resume operations from next week after being closed down for several months due to crude oil shortages. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that it is planned to commence operations of the refinery after the unloading of the crude oil shipments that arrived in the island. A ship carrying 100,000 MTs of crude oil was scheduled to reach the island last night and its sample testing will be done today. In addition, another ship carrying 120,000 MTs of crude oil is scheduled to arrive in the island between August 23rd and 29th. Accordingly, the refinery is expected to commence operations by mid-next week, the minister said. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka PUCSL says it has approved power cuts of 1 hour and 20 minutes for August 15th and 16th. Accordingly, the power cuts on Monday the 15th and Tuesday the 16th will be imposed as groups A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V and W, 1 hour and 20 minutes between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. The Private Bus Owners Association says the private bus transport will be increased up to 90% this week. As the fuel situation has returned to normalcy, the association decides to increase its transport services. However, the association requests the Sri Lanka Transport Board to provide the necessary diesel fuel stocks to village-level private bus operators to make those services to return to normalcy. The Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Resources Conservation says that the human-elephant conflict has increased within the past 3 years. The ministry points out that a total of 1,110 elephants and 376 people have died due to the human-elephant conflict in the years 2019, 2020 and 2021 alone. In 2019, there were 407 elephant deaths and 122 human deaths, 328 elephant deaths and 112 human deaths in 2020, and 375 elephant deaths and 142 human deaths in 2021, it said. The Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Resources Conservation stated that in the first 4 months of this year alone, 47 elephant deaths and 34 human deaths have been reported due to human-elephant conflicts. The figures were revealed during a discussion held on the human-elephant conflict at the Renugambehera Wildlife Office, chaired by Minister Mahinda Amaravira.
Nobody looks for hotels like this. So why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank? Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Ali Sabri had met a visiting United Nations Development Programme Director and discussed ways to help vulnerable communities in the island, a statement said, after the collapse of a currency peg following 2 years of money printing putting food out of reach for poor people. A statement from the ministry said that the Foreign Minister and the Deputy Regional Director also discussed ways to enhance cooperation between the UNDP and the Government of Sri Lanka to support social protection measures for the vulnerable communities and ensure sustainable recovery from the current challenges. Sri Lanka has expressed its willingness to work with the UNDP and continue its cooperation. Their statement also said the Deputy Regional Director Bahuet affirmed the continued support and cooperation of the UNDP to Sri Lanka, particularly in the priority areas identified and recovery measures being taken by the government to overcome the current challenges.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
Raids have been initiated to take legal action against bus crew members for charging bus fares higher than the revised bus fares, the National Transport Commission NTC Director General Nilan Merenda said. He said the raids were conducted following complaints received by the NTC alleging that certain private buses charge more than the revised fare. Therefore, the NTC informs all passenger transport authorities to assign all their mobile inspectors to investigate the incidents on provincial buses. Moreover, the Director General said that several mobile inspection teams attached to the NTC have been assigned.
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
In world news headlines, Bangladesh fuel prices. A person says, I might start begging in the street. Salman off ventilator and able to talk. Western Wall, several injured in Jerusalem shooting. Bangladesh, one of the world's fastest growing economies, has raised fuel prices by more than 50% in just a week. It blames rising oil prices in the wake of the war in Ukraine. Thousands of people have taken to the streets in protest as another South Asian nation faces a growing financial crisis. As he queues up to get petrol for the truck that he uses to transport vegetables, Muhammad Nurul Islam says he's scared that he may soon have to resort to begging. An unexpected rise in fuel prices in Bangladesh has seen petrol prices go from 86 taka a litre to 130 taka. Author Salman Rushdie has been taken off a ventilator and is able to talk again a day after being stabbed. He was 75 and was attacked while speaking at an event in New York State and was in a critical condition. He has faced years of death threats for his novel The Satanic Verses, which some Muslims see as blasphemous. At least 8 people have been injured after a gunman opened fire on a bus near the Western Wall in Jerusalem's Old City, Israeli officials say. The suspect opened fire as the pilgrims were returning from prayers at the holy site. 2 people, including a pregnant woman, are in a critical condition. The gunman fled, but is now said to have turned himself in. The Western Wall is one of the holiest sites in Judaism. Thousands travel to pray there every year. That was world news, and now in development news. The Colombo bourse continued its upward momentum, reaching back to 9,000 plus levels amidst recording 6 billion rupees turnover due to local and foreign investor interest on heavyweight stocks with positive sentiment surrounding. Thus, the all-share price index increased by 321.3 points, plus 3.7%, to close at 9,027.5 for the day, whilst the S&P SL20 index gained.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
In cricket news, the 21 T20 internationals India have played so far in 2022 are the most by any team. Managing workloads across formats has led to them fielding 27 players in the T20Is, the most by any team this year. In the recent 5-match series in the West Indies alone, 17 players were given an opportunity. Now, with the Asia Cup approaching, the mixing and matching is likely to taper off as India look to give their first 11 a decent run of games in the lead up to the T20 World Cup in Australia this October.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Dialog Axiata PLC and Dialog Axiata Group announced its consolidated financial results for the 6 months ending June 30th, 2022, recording a consolidated revenue of 81.6 billion rupees for 1H 2022 and 43.3 billion rupees for Q2 2022. Despite the challenging environment witnessed in Q2 2022, the group sustained its consistent performance to record strong revenue growth across all business segments, namely mobile, fixed line, digital pay television, international and tele-infrastructure relative to prior periods, namely year-to-date and quarter-on-quarter.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Sri Lanka hopes to get around $50 million export revenue from locally made liquor sales in 2023, the Commissioner General of Excise Department of Sri Lanka, MJ Gunasiri, said. He said that last year Sri Lanka got around $25 million by selling Sri Lankan produced liquor overseas. However, this year, due to several local and global issues, the foreign sales would not reach a high amount, but we expect this to pick up next year.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And now for the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at several places over most parts of the island during the evening or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamuwa, central, north central, Uva and southern provinces. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during the thunder showers. This weather report was issued at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the international weather forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that the day's weather was cloudy with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was observed to be around 29 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 26 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in select spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be 27 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index AQI is 23, which shows a fair air condition in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. However, sensitive groups may experience minor to moderate symptoms from long-term exposure. That was the weather report, and now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. Sri Lanka has expressed its willingness to work with the UNDP and continue its cooperation. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says the Al-Odyssey weekly railway services will be increased from this week. The Bathalegoda Paddy Research Centre has introduced 4 new paddy seeds which suit organic fertilizer cultivation. The Sapugaskanda refinery to resume operations next week. Power cuts of 1 hour and 20 minutes for the next 2 days. The ministry to decide on changes to the weekly fuel quota. The human-elephant conflict kills over 1,100 wild elephants in 3 years. In news overseas, Salman off ventilator and able to talk. In sports news, experiments and role clarity bring answers to India's T20 questions. That concludes this news broadcast. You're with Radio Sri Lanka.